Gloria started investing at 53, not 30, not even 40. 53 years old with almost nothing saved, in a country where the financial media basically treats anyone over 45 without a Roth IRA like a cautionary tale in a PowerPoint presentation. Everyone told her she'd missed the boat. The compound interest window had closed. The math didn't work anymore. She'd spend her final years scraping by while people who started earlier lived comfortably. That was 12 years ago. Today, Gloria is 65, with a portfolio that's grown over 850% from her initial contributions. She's not a millionaire. She doesn't need to be. She has enough. Enough to stop working when she wants to, enough to help her grandkids, enough to sleep without the money panic that used to wake her at 3 a.m., which, if you've ever had a 3 a.m. money spiral, you know is worth more than almost any number in a compound interest chart. And when people ask her secret, she doesn't talk about stock picks or timing the market or some complicated strategy involving options. She says one thing: I just started late, but I started. The biggest lie in personal finance is that there's a deadline, that if you didn't begin in your 20s, you're already finished, that compound interest is an exclusive club with a velvet rope and a minimum age requirement you've already missed. This belief keeps millions of people paralyzed, watching from the sidelines, convinced that since they can't have everything, they might as well have nothing, which is a little like skipping dinner because you can't have a 7-course tasting menu. You're still hungry, there's still food, eat something. I'm going to show you why this belief is mathematically wrong, psychologically destructive, and exactly what keeps people broke. Hey, I'm Alice from Money Blueprint. Grab a drink. This one's for anyone who has ever looked at a compound interest chart, done the math from their actual age, and quietly closed the tab. Before we get into the numbers, and there will be numbers, this is a finance video, we can't help ourselves, let me be direct about something. This is not financial advice. I don't know your income, your debts, your obligations, your specific situation. What I'm about to share is factual information about what's mathematically possible for people who start later in life. What applies to you is your call. Now, let's talk about the thing that's making everyone feel terrible. 74% of Americans have a financial regret, according to Bankrate's 2025 survey. The number one regret across nearly every generation: not saving for retirement early enough. 36% of baby boomers, 28% of Gen Xers, millions of people walking around carrying this specific weight, this quiet, ambient shame that they already blew it. But here's where it gets genuinely strange. When researchers ask why people haven't made progress on their financial regrets, the number one answer isn't lack of income. It isn't even lack of knowledge. It's inflation and high prices. Meaning the money might actually be there, just being absorbed by things that feel urgent instead of things that feel important, which is basically the story of adult life, isn't it? Urgent always beats important in a straight fight. Important has to scheme its way in. And here's the trap the late start shame creates. The voice that says it's too late becomes the justification for spending everything now. If I can't have a comfortable retirement anyway, why deprive myself today? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy wearing the costume of rational thinking. It's giving up before you've even looked at the options. Let's look at the options. But first, the scary chart, because I know you've seen it and I know it did something to your soul. If you invest $500 a month starting at age 25 with a 7% annual return, you'd have roughly $1.5 million by 65. 40 years of compounding. Great. Love that for the hypothetical 25-year-old. Start that same $500 at age 40, about $380,000. Start at 50, roughly $160,000. The numbers are brutal. Nobody's pretending anywise. Starting early is mathematically superior. Full stop. I'm not going to stand here and tell you compounding math is a lie. Compounding math is great. Compounding math has made a lot of people very comfortable. But here's what those comparison charts quietly ignore. Who in their 20s is actually investing $500 a month? The median net worth for Americans in their 20s is under $40,000. Most people in their 20s are paying rent, paying off student loans, building careers, and eating cereal for dinner twice a week, which is not a judgment. It's just what the 20s cost now. The hypothetical 25-year-old investor in these examples often doesn't exist in the real world. The person who actually has $500 to invest is frequently someone in their 40s or 50s who has finally, after 2 decades of adult life, gotten their financial house somewhat stable, which is the exact moment the charts show them it's basically too late. Terrible timing. Great charts, though. Second thing those projections leave out, return assumptions vary wildly. 7% is conservative. It's the S&P 500 historical return adjusted for inflation. The actual nominal average over the past 100 years is closer to 10%. Over the past 10 years specifically, the S&P 500 averaged nearly 15% annually. If you started investing at 55 in 2015 and just bought an index fund and left it alone, your results would look dramatically different from someone you invested during the lost decade of the 2000s. The pessimistic projections assume average conditions. Reality has the audacity to be messier. Third, and this is the one that changes the mental model entirely, life expectancy has shifted dramatically. When Social Security was created in the 1930s, life expectancy at birth was around 62. Today, it's 79. If you're 53 and reasonably healthy, actuarial tables suggest you have roughly 30 more years. That's not a short runway. That's 3 full decades. Enough time to read every book on your list, learn to cook something other than pasta, and still have a comfortable retirement. Thinking of yourself as running out of time at 53 reflects a mental model built for a world that no longer exists. You're not running out of time. You just need to stop using a 1935 map. Now let's talk about something the tax code actually built for you, on purpose, because it knew this would happen. Catch-up contributions. In 2026, if you're 50 or older, you can contribute up to $32,500 per year to a 401k. That's the regular $24,500 limit, plus an $8,000 catch-up provision. And if you're between 60 and 63, there's a super catch-up. Yes, that's the actual name, super catch-up, which sounds like a breakfast item but is actually one of the most useful things in the entire tax code, that allows $11,250 in additional contributions, bringing your total to $35,750 per year. Think about what that means in practice. Someone who starts at 55 with zero savings, maxing out a 401k at $32,500 per year, invested in a diversified portfolio returning 8% annually, would have roughly $570,000 by age 67. Add any employer match, and if your employer matches and you're not taking the full match, you are leaving free money on the table, which is the financial equivalent of finding a 20 on the sidewalk and just stepping over it. And the number goes higher. Add Social Security on top, and you have a meaningful retirement income. Is it the same as starting at 25? Of course not, but compared to nothing, it's life-changing. Here's a more realistic scenario for most people. You're 50, nothing saved, you can't max out a 401k, but you can contribute enough to get your employer's full match, let's say 6% of a $70,000 salary. Your employer matches 3%. You also put $200 a month into a Roth IRA. That's roughly $8,700 per year invested. At 8% returns over 15 years, approximately $250,000. Add Social Security, add any other income, you are in a meaningfully better position than if you'd saved nothing, which is the entire point. The comparison isn't you versus the person who started at 25. The comparison is future you with a cushion versus future you without one. But here's what I think matters even more than the math. And I don't say that lightly, because I just gave you a lot of math. Starting to invest at any age changes your identity. You stop being someone who can't handle money and start being someone who invests. That shift isn't just psychological fluff. It changes how you make decisions. You think twice about a purchase you wouldn't have thought about before. You start paying attention to fees and returns because they're your fees and your returns now. You develop slowly, almost without noticing, something that looks like financial competence, which is exactly the thing that compounds alongside the money. The people who tell themselves it's too late don't make this shift. They stay in the identity of someone who got left behind, and they make decisions accordingly every year until they reach the age they thought was too late to start, and it's now actually too late because they made it so. Let me say that more plainly, because it's the most important thing in this video. The logic of "it's too late" has no floor. Every year you wait because it's too late makes the problem more severe, which makes it feel even more too late, which makes it easier to wait another year. It's a trap that closes tighter with every passing year. The 50-year-old who decided it was too late is now 55, with 5 fewer years than they could have had. The 55-year-old who decided it was too late is now 60. The same reasoning that said it was too late at 50 now says it's even more too late, which means the logic will always say that. The only way out is to reject the premise entirely. Too late is a comparison to something that doesn't exist. The version of you that started at 25 is fictional. The only real version is the one sitting here right now, with whatever years remain, deciding what to do with them. A few practical things before we land this. Asset allocation when you start late should be more aggressive than conventional wisdom suggests. The old rule, hold bonds equal to your age, would have a 60-year-old in 60% bonds, but someone starting late with a small portfolio needs growth exposure, not safety from growth. An 80% equity allocation, even into your late 50s and early 60s, can make sense if you have other income sources and a realistic time horizon. Don't automatically assume conservative equals smart just because you're older. Conservative can also mean slow enough that the math never works out, which is its own kind of risk. Social Security optimization is massive for late starters. Delaying benefits from 62 to 70 increases your monthly check by roughly 77%. If you have limited savings, that larger guaranteed income over a potentially long retirement can outweigh the value of claiming early. You're essentially buying yourself a bigger government annuity for free just by waiting. It costs patience. It pays back in actual dollars. Part-time work in early retirement extends your runway significantly. If the market drops 30% the year you retire, which it will do at some point because that's what markets do, they're dramatic, having even modest income from consulting or freelancing means you're not forced to sell investments at the worst possible time. Late starters often have professional experience that translates perfectly to consulting. That experience is worth money. And downsizing, while emotionally complicated, can instantly unlock more capital than years of saving. If you own a home with significant equity and you're willing to move somewhere smaller or more affordable, that equity can become investable assets overnight. It's not for everyone. It's worth putting on the table. Here's the brutal truth that nobody wants to say out loud, so I will. You're going to be 65 eventually, no matter what, or 70 or 75. You're going to reach those ages whether you save or you don't. The calendar is not negotiating with you. The only question is whether future you has something or nothing. And nothing is the default outcome if you decide it's too late and act accordingly. Gloria wasn't special. She didn't have insider knowledge or a windfall inheritance. She had a decent job, discipline she didn't know she had until she needed it, and a decision, one decision to stop believing that her time had passed. 12 years later, her portfolio is up 850% on her contributions. She had to be in the market to receive that help. The people who actually miss out on wealth are not the ones who started late. They're the ones who never started at all. The year you were born is not a sentence. The age on your driver's license is not your destiny. The only thing that actually determines whether you build anything from here is whether you decide to try. So here's what I want you to do after this video. Open a compound interest calculator. Plug in your actual age and a contribution amount you could actually commit to. Not the maximum you could theoretically manage if everything went perfectly, but the real number. See what 15 or 20 years of consistent investing at that level produces. The number might surprise you in a good way. Set up automatic contributions tomorrow, not next month, not when things calm down, because things never calm down, that's just life. Tomorrow. Even $50 per paycheck. The amount matters less than the habit, and the habit matters more than you think. Find out what catch-up contribution options are available to you. If your employer has a 401k match and you're not getting the full match, fix that first. Free money first. Everything else second. Calculate your Social Security benefit at different claiming ages. The SSA website has estimators. Run the numbers for 62, 67, and 70. See how much the delay is actually worth. And then tell someone, a friend, a partner, a sibling, say the words out loud. I'm starting to invest for retirement. It sounds small. It's not small. Making it real and social creates accountability in a way that a private resolution does not. It makes it a fact instead of a plan. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now, today, this week. You might not become a millionaire. You might not retire early to a beach house with unobstructed ocean views and a standing order at the local fish taco place. But you can become someone with options instead of desperation, someone with a cushion instead of panic, someone who controls their final decades instead of just surviving them. That is not a small thing. That is, as it turns out, pretty much everything. If any part of this video made you think differently about where you are and what's still possible, subscribe to Money Blueprint. This channel exists for exactly this conversation, the one nobody else is having, about the reality of building financial security from wherever you actually are, not wherever the charts say you should have started. And drop a comment. How old are you? And what finally made you decide to start? Or what's still holding you back? Every comment gets read. The people in this channel are the reason this channel exists. Start now. That's the whole thing.